Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Programmer's Paradise would like to welcome you to today's topic, which is Crystal Reports for CA Data Modeler ERwin. This is number 5 in a series of 6 webinars that we're doing on CA ERwin. So let's go into the agenda. We're first going to go over who we are. We'll talk about the ERwin modeling suite. We'll get into Crystal Reports and how to run old ERwin reports within that. Also, we'll go into the ODBC-Based Metadata Access, and then at the end we'll wrap it up with some Q&A. So who we are. Programmer's Paradise is a leading e-seller of developer and infrastructure tools. You can view all of our offerings at www.programmers.com. Programmer's Paradise is an elite CA partner. We're #1 in the data modeling field, so we're the #1 data modeling reseller for CA. We have a dedicated CA sales and engineering team, and we also deal with database and modeling design and training services. We're also a leader in delivery of CA education and an authorized VET VSA partner. So here's our software worldview, our database worldview. This is something you can view on our website. It's just our industry-leading tools for your end-to-end database needs. So now we're going to get right into it with Crystal Reports for CA Data Modeler, and doing the webinar today will be Shubhi Kamakar, who's a senior software engineer here at Programmers. Take it away, Shubhi.
Thanks, Mike. And as we begin with Crystal Reports, I know there's a lot of interest. People want to know how Crystal Reports can help them. And what we want to do today is, as I go to my next slide, and let me go to my next slide here. I'm going to go talk a little bit. You guys have seen this slide before, and some of you may be saying, oh, she goes again. But I have to do this just to let you know all the tools that we have, how they work with each other, and how they can help you in long run. And we will then go directly into Crystal Reports, believe me. So right in the middle of the screen is CA ERwin Data Modeler, right? And that's the data model that you guys have been using. Data Modeler does your reverse engineering from many different databases. You pull in your information to see as is. You can also create forward engineer or your DDL so that you can create these databases or data objects. We also have complete compare technology, which is extremely well documented technology that allows you to compare against your data models or database or DDL so that you can make dynamic changes in either your model or your database and keep it all synchronized. What we also have is meta integration, and meta integration is, of course, with the MIMB bridges so that you can pull in metadata at any given time, either from Excel or from your Visio, or from your Informatica, Cognos, you name it, because we all realize that, don't we, that it's one thing to say that I'm going to create all the metadata repository and everything, and then another thing when you have actual time to do it. And that's Data Modeler for you. And when you see all of these lines right next to each other, you know, import, export, these are bidirectional lines telling you that Data Modeler does have import-export bridge. You don't pay for it. It's just highlighted. And we also have Crystal Reports, what we're going to talk about today. We have another tool called Model Manager. Now, all of the things that are in blue tools here, these applications are part of ERwin Suite. So just like when you go and buy your TV or, you know, 3-in-1 TV, VCR, whatever, DVD player together, it's the same thing with our tools as well. When you buy the suite, you can get a really good, you get the Model Manager, first of all, so that you can do your audit trails and you can do your version control. Model Manager helps you to do your life cycle design, so I can go from my development to test to production, and I can control access to all of my blueprint. We also have a process modeler that allows you to look at process, as in what is it that I do and how is it that I do it. Once I understand my functions and once I understand my processes, the next thing to do is to go in and map the data that goes with it. Now, for many of you, you actually have data models, and someone somewhere in your company knows about the processes. It's only when you buy new companies, or, you know, your company's been sold in pieces, or you're going and you want to start a brand new process in there so that it's faster, quicker, better, whatever, you start looking at the process. As you can see, there is a double-headed arrow that says that once you go in and design a process, those of you who are business people can design the process and push that information into ERwin as a subject area, and vice versa. You can actually pull in a data model into your process. So when you're looking at your swim lanes, you can understand what is it that I do, how is that I do it, where's my bottleneck, and what kind of data I'm going to impact when I try to maneuver that bottleneck. And that's the process modeler for you. Data model validator allows you to validate a model, as in it lets me see, what kind of information I have in this model. Have I gone, have I done any mistakes in there, as in, have I role named my attribute if it comes, or my key if that's coming twice in this particular table. Data model validator will bring that to forefront so that that's the best ROI. I'm not wasting my time when I'm creating DDL for my DBAs. It actually helps me to create the absolute perfect DDL for them so that my DBAs are not wasting their time. Now let's look at these, the other three very quickly. ERwin Model Navigator, what does that do for me? That's a read-only ERwin. That's for me so that when I work with people who are outside, they could be anybody. They could be a consultant. They could be users. They could be outsourced development in India or China. They could be using Model Navigator so that they can go in, look at, they can connect to Model Manager. So who's connected, who's using what model, what information are they opening, because if it's a consultant, believe me, these are your blueprints for your business. These are your applications. You do not want people to go in and save them someplace or what have you, but the Model Navigator will keep track of who's using your information. They can run their reports, and they can also go in and print it out. Sapphire option is for those people who use ERPs, so that now you can create, your JD Edwards and SAPs can be pulled into a repository, and ERwin Data Modeler then becomes a client. Data Profiler, of course, is a brand new addition to our suite here, and Data Profiler does exactly what it's called. It profiles your data. And why do I need to profile my data? Because as I'm going and designing my databases, every once in a while I have to go and look at the actual data. If I'm buying all of my applications, I need to go in and also sometimes understand my primary key, foreign key relationship by looking at the ERwin Data Profiler, because the code can be into application itself. All right, so this is what it is at a very high level. Let's move on to today's topic, which is the Crystal Report. And I have this slide here to show you it's very, very, very simple. All right, and what we're talking about is the actual Crystal Reports. Now, where does Crystal Report come in from? You can go to Business Objects website and you can download that, and it works with 7.3 series here. Or for those of you who go to our Support Connect for CA, they can download Crystal Reports, ERwin implementation or ERwin download that has Crystal Report in it. And what you get is the developer application license so that you can start doing Crystal Reports. Now, we give you out-of-the-box reports because typically this is what we have seen when we talk to our users. Most of the users actually day in and day out want to do their logical dictionary reports or their logical physical combined dictionary reports, or just the physical dictionary reports. Where are these stored? These are actually stored in your, when you go to your program file CA, you have an ODBC report folder, and you should be able to see all of those in there. You also see RTB queries, and these are your report template builder queries from the old report template that ERwin has. And I will show you how you can use those queries, plus you can use the Crystal Report as we go along. All right, the next step. Once you go in and you use any one of these reports and open it up, basically it brings you to this screen here. It is so easy, I can do it. You basically run the report, then you come to view, and you preview the sample. So when whatever model is open, ERwin actually connects to ERwin model two different ways. It can connect to ERwin current model, or through ODBC it can connect to any of the other models. Once you say preview sample, it basically goes in and asks you what subject areas you would like to run this report on. Now, as you can see, I can pick and choose the subject areas at the top. I also have a combination here that says enter subject areas using wildcard or star select, and you can select your subject areas. If you have way too many subject areas, you may or may not want to go and look for them here. You can just go in and add the information here. Select column ordering. this is something that people love because you have logical order, you have physical order, you also have column order, and you have alpha order, that is whatever order is there right now, just give me the report. Logical order, as you all understand, is on the logical side of your model. Your physical order is on the physical side, the way the database was created, and sometimes the column order and physical order could be different. So you say, why, Shubi? Because your column order, you start with your modeling. When you go to the physical side, you may decide for performance reasons, or once you understand your database a little better, you realize which are the columns that you go more times or, often. You would then bring those columns at the top of the table, or your numeric columns can come at the top of the table, but the columns that have more textual information can go at the bottom and so on. So again, choice is yours when you run the report. Once you run the report here, you can see that you have two tabs, one for design and one for preview, and you can actually go back and forth and make the changes. So let's move on to the next slide here. Now that's for the Crystal reports. We also have ODBC data source architecture. So I can either run the reports that are out of the box, or I can run my own reports. We have 5 different schemas in there. Now, where is this information? Actually, if you go into ERwin, you will be able to go in and see that information. Now, let me go in and make sure I share my desktop so you'll be able to see my application. And if you don't, please raise your hand and let us know that you can. I'm also going to show you something that we have. Now, if you go to your CA program file, CA ERwin Data Modeler, you should be able to see that there are 2 different PDF folders we give you, one called ODBC Reporting Guide PDF, and another one is called ERwin Meta Model Reference PDF. So for those of you who want to go in and understand our schema better, 1 hour is not enough time to understand the schema. But what you can do is you could go through that information and select the schema information and go through the slides. Let me come back to my slides here. So now I have 5 different things in there, M0, EM0, which is modeling data and which extends to M0 data. I also have M1 data, which is model data, metadata. EM1 extends M1, and AL is an action log. We have a translation function in ERwin called tran, and the reason it's been added is because ERwin is big on using macros. And if you're using macros all over the place, translation would allow you to move from back and forth from one schema to the other. All right. I will also show you how to use the M0 and EM0s to go in and create a report in Crystal Reports. Let's move on to the next slide. Yes, for those of you who are interested in knowing old ERwin reports, they are still there. Breathe a sigh of relief, because for those of you who are like me and used to using out-of-the-box report, they're still there. You can still use the data browser report to run your box reports and then go in and search and, whatever the other things that you do to share the reports, you still have those. ERwin reports into template builder, yes. And ERwin's really big on creating templates. So we also have the template builder. Template builder, as you know, allows you to do HTML report, which is your graphic report, your RTF reports, rich text file reports, your PDF reports, and that people prefer using PDFs from ERwin as well, because it allows you to do the graphic plus the information just like your HTML. And once you create those report templates, the best thing is you open the model, go to the report template builder and run it. Right now 735, which is the newest build, does have all of these reports in there. You can go in and check the roadmap to see which one's going to stay and which one's going to go away. ODBC-based metadata access that we have, again, right now you can create and save queries into .qry format, and then you can save query results into CSV format. So when you run a query on the open model, you do have a choice of then taking that information into CSV. ODBC-based metadata access is by, again, like as I said, when you implement ERwin, ERwin actually goes in and creates 2 different data sources for you. And I'm going to show you just the next slide here. ODBC data source, basically, so when you go in and implement ERwin, we create ERwin just a regular for the current access, and also to go to any other model that's out over there. You can, through ODBC data source, you can go open any one of those and then start working with the model. I'm going back one slide to talk about the SQL Query Tool. So what does this query tool give me? Right now, it allows me to do all of the select statements on the model. But in the roadmap somewhere in the future, they want to go in and add it in such a way that you should be able to query data if the need be. So SQL Query Tool allows me to create a query, execute query against a database. Right now, it's ODBC connection database. You do have your SQL Server and Teradata, but for any other databases right now, it is through your, you can go through the ODBC connection. All right. Save result set to CA ERwin. You could do that as well. ODBC data source, we saw that before. Now, once you run a query, it's very easy. You have a top portion of the query where you actually go in and have the information right in. You can type in yourself, and at the bottom part will show you the query itself. All right. You could use this with Excel by itself also with 2003 or 2005. When you go to the Excel query output, when you go through your data, I will show you very quickly how to run those also. And then, of course, we also give you ability to go in and fudge your own SQL whether it could be through command prompt or whether it's in the Excel as well. All right, so let's go in and open the tool so we can now start seeing how to run these reports. So let me go back to my ERwin, and I'm sure all of you can see my screen here. All right, so let me go in again, just in case, desktop. All right, and that I'm sharing my desktop now so you all can see my ERwin. All right, now, when I go through this model, you have a model open. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to run Crystal reports. So if you go to your start, you should be able to find the Crystal reports in there and open Crystal reports. Now, when you open the Crystal reports, I have some pre-run reports in there, and we're going to start creating a new report. Or actually, just let's go in and run something from open it from out of the box. So as I go in and say File Open, I can go to my ODBC report. All right, so right now I have and on my local disk, if I go to Program Files, CA ERwin Data Modeler, ODBC reports, and these are the reports that I have out of the box. Now, of course, we don't let you write over them, thank God, right? Because otherwise we could make mistake, and then we would, we'd be in trouble. So I have one logical physical combined dictionary that I save it as demo logical physical. If I go in and open that up, basically I have the ability to go in and run the report on the model that's behind the screen. And if I go in and say click OK, it runs the report for me. Very, very simple way of running the report. Go to File, Open the report from out of the box, go to View, say Preview Sample, and you have a sample in there. For those of you who have worked with Crystal reports before, what you can also do is go to the tab that says Design and work with the design. And most of the design is dynamic in here. All of the design is dynamic in here, actually. When you move things around here, that's what you'll see on the other side, which is the preview side. We also have the CA logo in here. That's an OLE object. So if you wanted to go in and attach any other OLE object, you can do that as well. Question gets asked all the time. A lot of people have Visio diagrams and other diagrams that are out there that you may want to utilize that information that you already have. You can go in and connect that to your ERwin model so people can go back and forth into different things. So here's where it is with running out of the box. What if I wanted to run a new report? So if I go to File and I go New, I'm going to open a standard report. Now, in my standard report, basically, ERwin says to me, or Crystal report says to me, Shubi, you can go through ERwin and connect to any of the ERwin models, or you could go through ERwin Current. ERwin Current, of course, is the connection to the currently open model behind the scene, and I do have a model open there. I have two choices. The first choice is to add a command prompt. So write my own SQL and run it. And the second one, of course, is to go through those, remember, those 5 schemas that I talked about. I have, again, I can't stress enough for you guys to go ahead and read the meta model reference so you understand a bit better about all of the objects that we have, that ERwin has dual objects in there. There are also scalar properties and vector properties. Scalar properties is where the property is single property, where vector properties is where you have more than one property. So you need to understand all that before you start running reports here. Now, where do I get all that information from? If you go to Start, and when you go to, this is with your 735, so you go to All Programs, when you go to your CA ERwin, when you go to the Data Modeler, you should be able to see two different videos. Now, one video here is the ODBC data source, and they do a really good job of taking you step by step to understand the data sources. We also have forward engineering video in there for those of you who love to create your own DDLs the way you want. You can also go in and understand the FE scenario in there, so it'll be a lot easier for you guys to create your forward engineer template. That's not our subject today, so let's go ahead with what we have. So first thing I'm going to do is go to the M0 schema in there. In the M0 schema, I'm going to start my report from the subject areas. So if I go there, I can see a subject area. I double-click, a subject area comes to the right-hand side. I also have another table in this schema called ref table, which basically it references entities reference. So basically what it's going to do is look at the vector properties, the properties that are in there that will help me run the report, and I can also go in and get the logical entity because that's the information that I'm interested in. When I go to the next screen, I see that ERwin's already, this Crystal report already thinks that there are some relationships that I'm interested in, which I'm not, so I'm going to clear the links. And I'm going to go in and put my own links. I have a subject area information here, but it has a subject area ID. I would like subject area ID to connect to my reference entity data. All right, reference entities reference is a table that would keep all of the references for me. I would then go in and connect my logical entity to the value of that reference. All right, so I have my relationships ready. Now when I go to the next level, I may have to go in and suggest, because it's asking me, choose the information to display on the report. Well, I would like the report to be subject area name, and I also want to go ahead and go with the logical entity name. So on the next screen it says, all right, how would you like to group all of that information? And I may want to go in and group the information to the subject area name. And then when I go in and finish, I will go in and see a report. All right, so ERwin ran a report, what I asked it to do, subject areas, and the information about entities. Now I don't like this, because see how it repeats main subject area, and that's not what I may want. So I may want to go to the design level. I may want to go in and delete the group 1 and this name information as well, and just go in and select this particular column in there and go add under group 1. Now, when I come back, voila, I already have the report. I could also go in and sort the information by logical entity name. That way, now I can go in and see that my subject areas have all of those entities, right? So very quick ways of running a report on the model. All right, it's very easy to run the report. I could also start with, as we said before, we also have a choice of running a report, not just with this. What if you had deleted something in your model? So in my model here, say I go in and delete an object. Now those of you who have been working with ERwin for a while now know that the left-hand corner bottom here has an action log pane, right? So ERwin keeps track of all of the actions that you have been taking. I deleted something. Now I may have deleted many things in that particular session, and I want to see what I deleted. So I can go in and run a new report. When I go to the standard report, I may want to go to the ERwin current. Now this time, I'm going to say I want to go to the AL schema, which is an action log schema, and I want to go and see what I deleted. I want to go in and see the type of object that I deleted, and also the name of object that I deleted. When I say finish, it runs a report. Now I don't like the report because what it's doing for me is it's giving me all of the numeric information for type, and that's not what I want. I actually want to go in and do my own type name. So let me go in and make the change. Now, when I go through this, remember that trans function that I talked about? the trend is basically going to go in and change that numeric information for me and translate it so mere mortals like me can read it. All right, so then when I go to that level, I may not want to use what type information is there, but I want to go in and use the type name. So let me go in and add that. Now when I go to preview, I see my entity name and my other information. I could go in and sort that by type first, and then I want to go in and look at the information. So look, it's giving me, I deleted building, remember? So it's telling me that I deleted entity building, I deleted these attributes, I deleted the key groups, I deleted the key members, my drawing object. It's actually giving me entire action that I created. All right, so it's very easy for me to go in and see how the things are changing. Let's look at the last kind of report that's there, and that's actually writing my own command prompt, right, which says add command. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm not going to type my own command. I'm going to just go back to my application here. All right, let's talk about the query tool, and then let's pull in that query into SQL, into Crystal Reports to see it. So I said something about query tool. And where is the query tool? It's under tools. I can go to query tool. Now, as you can see, the screen opens up. I have a choice of writing my query at the top, and I should be able to see the results at the bottom. Now, there is a connectivity. I have one connection to the database itself to get the information, or I could connect to ERwin, to the model that's open out here. Now, just for the simplicity, I can go in and open queries. Now, I have some queries written over here, and I'm just going to show you a very quick small query that I've written. Select star from MO entity, and if I just go in and run it, basically, it'll give me all the gibberish information from the schema. I may or may not want that. All right, I may want to go in and run a report from the RTB query. Remember the RTB query? Where is this query? This is in your RTB query folder. So if you wanted to, you can actually go open that particular query, run it through here. All right, the folder is there with your ERwin. When I ran the report, it's giving me my entity name because that's what I've asked. If you look at the statement here, it says select trend length. Now, yes, the question's going to be, Shubi, what is this language here? That's the ERwin macro language. Where do you learn it? You go to help. There is a macro language in there. There's a lot of information about macro language that you can understand. The best way to learn it, of course, is copy-paste the information, the queries that we are giving you. So if you were to go to the query, basically, I would just ask you to go to the query into your C program file, CA RTB query folder, and open up any one of those so you can see the information and you can learn how to do this. Now, I have this information already in there. Now let me cheat. I'm going to copy paste this into my Crystal reports. It's always easier, isn't it, to copy paste something. So I want to go to command. Now I have a command prompt. I write my command in there and I go in and click OK. What ERwin will do now is will ask me, it says, okay, I understand the command. Looks like you want entity name, attribute name, and column name, okay? And how do you want it? You want the report field by, and I want it by entity name. So I do not want the attribute name in the, well, yeah, entity name, attribute name, and column name. When I finish, I see this report, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, I don't like it. So I can just go to my design information, see what's going on. It's repeating itself. It has account rep. I have account rep identification. I have account rep identification again, and I don't like that. So basically, I'm going to go in and take out the group 2 name. All right. What you will have to do again is make sure when you go report these to go play with it in a way so your design is better. Of course, my design doesn't look good at all. So let me go back to my, I could do the two different things. I could go back here. I have the command prompt to the database expert. I can go to command and edit command. All right, I like what I've written. I can go click OK. And basically what I'm going to do is run the report again so that then it will give me that ability to run the report and see the preview. all right? 3 or 4 different ways of running the report, as I told you. So first is to actually go to Crystal Reports and open a report and run it. So you could just run, say if I wanted to go run the logical report, basically it'll say to me, Shubi, you can't run the report right now. You cannot save the report. And as I told you, you go into View, you say Preview Sample. It'll ask me how many rows of records do I want. It'll ask me which subject areas I want. I can go Select. As I said before, the screen hadn't come before, so I'm just showing you again. And when I go into OK, now it'll go in and run the report. So that's the first way of creating a report. See how beautiful the report looks. You have one of 5 pages in there. You can move from one page to the other. You can also, like I said, you can play with the colors. One of the questions somebody had was, how do I publish this information? Well, you have a couple of choices. You can go to File, and you can export it to XML, or what we also give you is the ability, and Crystal Report will give you that information. You can go in and create the DLR or the absolutely dynamic recipient sources so that information then can be published outside. All right, so this is about Crystal Report. What I'm going to do is move on to other reports that ERwin already has. So let's go back to ERwin. You looked at the query tool, right? So you can run your own queries. You can save these queries outside and use them that way. Let me close the query tool. Very quickly, I also want to show you that we do have the data browser report that people love. Data browser gives you ERwin report on this particular ERwin model. Or if I had connected to Model Manager, and then Model Manager sits on a database. So basically, I can go in and run Data Browser report on any model that's checked in the database. Think about the implications. I'm changing a data element. I am on my data governance project or my master data management project, data warehousing project, or just day-to-day, the transactional applications that I'm creating. There is a change. I want to know where else the change is affecting. The best thing for me to do, if I was using Model Manager and I had, all of the libraries, I could go through Model Manager and run a global report in there. Of course, as you know, we also have these out-of-the-box reports, and I've shown these previously on previous seminars. Now, if I run the out-of-the-box report, I have the entity name, entity definition. Any place that there is a pencil sign, you can actually go in and edit the information. You can sort and see how many places still requires definitions. Now, you have a choice. I can sit here and type the information. Once I start typing, I can then go in and support contract is created by or whatever, created by sales department because they're the one who sold it. I can save the information here, commit change. That change will be, of course, stored in the model that's open. I could also do it differently. I can actually use the meta integration bridge. I can take the model, go under File, Meta Integration, create the Excel format report, send it to my business folks whose job it is in the first place to give me the business definitions. Rather than me being creative in creating the definitions, I should get them from my business. Once they put the information into Excel spreadsheet, I can then import the information into another ERwin model and then either create my data dictionary from that or go in and compare the information. I also have the choice very quickly. I also want to show you this because this question gets asked too. Now, I have created a report where I can see the entity name, the attribute names, and the column name. Now, this question comes up, Shubi, how can I see if I'm using the right class words or not? Well, I can go to Search, Find, and I have the ability now. I'm looking at the attribute name. I want to find out how many places I've used the class word name. When I say Find All, I can see all of the objects, all of the attributes that are ending into name, which happens to be my class word. Yes, extra word, but does it help me? Absolutely. Rather than going and looking at every single attribute, I have the easier way to go and see the information. Now let's look at our report template builder, because I promised you I'll show you that as well. When you go under Tools, you have a report template builder. All right, when you go to Report Template Builder, you should be able to see a lot of reports that we give you out of the box. You can create your own report, and since it's a template, make sure that you save information in template form. As in, I could go in and create a report where I am taking care of my title information. I have a macro attached called %model. I have header information. I can go in and take organization name as a header. I can go in and say author information as a footer. I have my definition, and I'll also go in and export these files wherever I want it to be. Be very careful. If you're creating HTML reports, you know that HTML will create a lot of tiny little files. So you may want to go in and create a folder where you can save the information, wrap text after, and give it a value. If you keep 0 in here, information then gets overflowed. So I have information ready. Now when I go in and run the report, basically it'll ask me, it says, what are the subject areas you want to run the report on? This question gets asked all the time. Somebody even asked me about store displays. If you create lots of different store displays, again, you can create store displays. Store displays will actually save the information the way you have created the store displays. So if you right mouse click anywhere on the blank of the model, it says create store displays, or you can go under model and create store displays. That's the best practice. So create your subject area, also create your store displays so you can move from logical to physical to entity to attribute displays in there. So now, see, if I go in and create those, I know exactly what I'm looking at. When I click OK on here, it'll run the report for me. All right. As I run the report, let me go to the product here. I also may want to go in and allow blocked content so that you can say, now, it went in and selected the RBC computer's name because I had said %model name. I also see my employee, or I also see my product subject area, and look how nice it looks. It says Paradise, which is the name of my company. It tells you it's supposed to be Programmer's Paradise, but every once in a while I like to think I'm working in Paradise, right? So I have Paradise up here. I have name of the product. If there is a definition, it'll show up here. It'll tell you whether it's logical or physical or not. It'll give you all of the information at the bottom. It also gives you the name of the person. Now, what you can also do in here is basically when you go through the information, right here I have a CA logo. You don't have to use that. If you wanted to, you could just go in and use the logo that is your own company logo. Now, I could use the same information, and instead of HTML, I go in and create a PDF report. Now, because I know I need the graphic information, now I want to explain right now, Crystal Report at this time only gives you metadata. It does not give you graphic reports, right? So it's great to create your data dictionaries and, and fantastic reports that you could create. But if you also want the HTML with graphics, and you could also publish that with your graphics, but here I have the ability to create my PDF. It'll do the same thing when I run the report. Since I created everything through, I said show it to me when I'm running the report at store displays at runtime. It'll ask me how I would like to run the report. So now what I'm going to do is once the report is run, I have my great picture section, and I will be able to see RBC computer information. Here's all of your indexes. You go in and click here. It'll open up the information there, graphic, or you could also do the same thing from left-hand side. I go click on the product. It gives me the information that product has. I also can use these buttons to go back and forth to the information that's there. I can select information by itself. I may not want the graphic information here. I actually have the data dictionary for all of my entity information. I have the name of the entity. I have the definition. I can see whether it's logical or physical only. I could do the same thing with my attribute section. When I go to the attribute table, absolutely entire data dictionary, name, the definition, is it required, whether that means it's null or not null. Again, we're on the logical side, so it's going to ask you whether it's required or not, which is null or not null, and then whether it's a primary key or not. All right? So we looked at lots of reporting today. We looked at Crystal reports, and we said it's out-of-the-box report. Great. You could also run your own reports through Crystal reports. And just to recap, let me go back to my Crystal report. So a lot of different ways of doing it. You can create new, or you can open what we give you. When you create new, you can go through the different schemas that are out there. You can also write your own command. And the last but not least, you could also do a Microsoft Excel reporting. All right, and when you go through the Excel, again, it's connecting to your ERwin through your ODBC. Whether it's 2003 or 2005, under data you have from other sources. You can go to from Microsoft Query. When you go through that, now it's asking me where I want to connect to. I would like to connect to ERwin current model. I really don't want to use the query that's out there. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to select entity now in this report. And then I would also go in and connect to attribute. All right. Now, even this is very, very easy. Once you go in and see our demo video, you'll be able to see how easy it is. Now, first thing you do, and you saw that before, first thing you want to do is create a relationship, right? Because without the relationship, you won't be able to see anything. The relationship is between the entity ID to attribute owner. And now, once I have that, I can select the name of the entity and see how dynamic it is. Boom. Real quickly, you'll see the report in there. And even in this case, I'm going to go in and select the attribute name. Once I do this, oops, see what has happened? I'm getting a report that says % lower owner entity, blah, blah, blah. It's all my macros. I can go to the SQL and go in and put my tran function. Once I put the tran function, very quickly, since it's dynamic, it will give me the report. Now, that report looks good, but this is not what I want to see. I actually want to go to File. Let me go to File and say Return Data to Microsoft Excel Reporting. And it'll ask me how many, what rows I want. And if I click OK, boom, I have a report. And see how nice this report looks. Of course, you can also create it through ERwin, but you could also utilize our ODBC connection. And as you know, Excel allows you to do your own SQL. You could go through that and create those as well. So today's session, we looked at all of the Crystal Report reports. We looked at out of the box, taking care of your schemas. You also looked at working with M0s, EM0s, deleted, command prompt. Then we went to our query tool. Then we looked at our RTBs and data browser and Excel report. Hope this was helpful. What we want to do also is, as we move forward with our other slides, I want to ask each one of you to let us know what is it that you like so far in all of our series. And as we will go on to the new series after our Sapphire series next time, what is it that you guys would like to see? Because rather than sitting here in the room and talking to myself, I would rather present what you all would like to see with any one of those tools. So please, once the seminar is over, go and let us know what is it that you would like to see next time. So I'm going to now give it to Mike.
Thanks a lot, Shubi. All right, everyone, we're going to open it up to questions now. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, and we'll go ahead and start reading off the questions for Shubi. The first question, can you change the column width to a specific size?
Yes, and I'm assuming the question is, can you give me the ball again? Do I have the ball?
No, I'll give it back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. If the question is changing the column width in the Crystal reports, absolutely you can do that. When you're looking at your Crystal reports, you can go to the design prompt, which is at the behind the screen. You have a preview and you have design, and you can actually select any one of these columns and change the column width just by dragging it on the side. All right, and hope that helps. Hope you can see it, and hope that helps. And the same thing with your Excel, you can change the column width.
James is chiming in saying report browser, not Crystal reports.
Oh, okay, good question. With the report browser, column width cannot be changed unless, of course, you go in and work with the code. Because you know, the report template builder, when you create the HTML reports in here, what we use is the styling sheets that you have with you when we give you ERwin. So you could do that as well. You could create the view source when you go in and run the report. When you right mouse click on the HTML report, there's view source, and you can go through the styling sheets and make those changes if they need to be.
Okay, and next question. You can also publish a report as a PDF file, correct?
Absolutely. And that's through ERwin itself. So you can go to ERwin Tools, Report Template Builder. When you go to Report Template and Report Builder and create a template itself, what you may want to do is make sure that you export as you select in the properties. You have choices of selecting HTML or RTF or text or PDF, and you can select PDF. If you want to, on the other hand, go through Crystal Report, you also have the ability into File, Export to, and you have different places where you can export the report to.
Okay, and does the Excel option work with MS Excel 2007?
Yes, it works everywhere from 2003 up. Absolutely. In fact, on my machine, you were looking at 2007.
Okay. And how can you add the logo in PDF report in a particular position in HTML it places in a specific location?
What you may want to do is, with our PDF, when ERwin, if that's what you're asking me, when ERwin creates that PDF and goes in and puts that logo, now all of the logo information will also be found through HTML. With PDF, though, what you can do is, if I'm running the report, let me actually run it so I can talk about it. I've never gone in and made the change myself. But let me go in and run the PDF report. So as I go in and select these objects and run the report, on the left-hand corner, I should see the object in there. Now, that is, I think that is where, oh, actually, I don't even see it here, so let me go to the picture section. So I don't know. Let me find the answer for you and let you know as you could go in and select the PDF report. I don't see anyone on my screen here, even though I selected that. So let's jot down that question and we can get back to the person with the answer.
Okay.
If it's PDF, I don't know. If it's HTML, of course, you can go through the view source and make the changes yourself.
All right. Can you vary the width of table cells in HTML reports?
Yeah, this was the same question as that was asked before. For the HTML report, what you may want to do is look through our styling sheet that ERwin gives you, and for that question, I'm going to go now because it came twice. Let me go to the HTML and very quickly again run the report. I should have kept the report there, but I didn't. So, but it's very correct, and I'm just going to select, few of the subject areas. So let me go in and allow the blocked content to see. Now, as you go through, when you right mouse click, you have the view source file in there. And, just do it only if you know what you're doing, because you can really, make a mess. But basically, as you can see, this is basic HTML, and it'll give you all the information as into your entities and attributes and the size of the sections and so on. You also have your picture section. So I think what you can do is make the change here. For those of you who were asking me the PDF, I bet it was also the same place because those are the styling sheets I'm sure that PDF uses as well. But that's my guess. But for HTML folks, you'll have to come in here and start working with this alignment and sizes so that you can change the section for you. I hope that helps.
Okay. Can you export multiple reports, examples being HTML and PDF?
Absolutely. You'll have to run those one at a time. You first go in and export the HTML, then you go and create your PDF. You can. One other question was also asked before on the email. Somebody wanted to know how you could go in and get the information through store displays. See how nicely I have store displays in here. I can go in and talk to my DAs. I can talk to my developers. I can talk to my DBAs as I go in and move through my displays. You could also run the same report on the subject area. Remember, I have all of my reports. The way I run my reports is I always go in, and when I'm selecting my report template builder, I go in and typically go through the edit And as the model export as when I go through my picture section, I have the ability to select the store displays at runtime. And once you create this template, it's good for all of the reports you run on those, the current store displays or specified store displays at runtime. Just, you have to remember, if you're on the logical side, it'll show you logical information, physical side, physical information. So make sure that you have the selections there.
Okay, great. Looks like that's all the questions we have. Thanks again, Shubi. Great job as always.
Okay, let me go in and presentation.
All right, so for everyone out there, for more information, or if you think of any questions you didn't think of now, you can always email us at ca.erwin@programmers.com, and Shubi will answer those questions directly. Also, if you'd like a one-on-one briefing going over the newest version of ERwin, or also a free data model health check, please again email us directly at that email address, or you can even call us at 800-221-7710. Also, the other software and services we provide are product upgrades, free trials, white papers on any CA products. Also, CA ERwin training. We have a 2-day in-depth training class that we offer. And there's also some other webinars that we've gone over previously at our website, www.programmers.com/CA. The 4 webinars we did before this are all on-demand on our website. You can listen to those at any time. This one will be available to listen to again probably tomorrow. And we have one more webinar to do, which will be on September 23rd, which will go over the ERwin Sapphire option. And then, Shubi, we actually did have one more question, if you want to take that real quick.
Sure.
It's, can we convert, or actually, can you recover a deleted object in ERwin?
Yes, absolutely. And what you can do is there's a redo undo, right? So if you have deleted an object in ERwin, you can always go back to ERwin and either use redo or undo from the top of the section there. If you were using the action log pane, you see it there, so you can also recover it from that side. And the best is if you were using Model Manager and you deleted something, then you saved the model, and you want to go back to the model before, then the Model Manager would have that version in there, so you can go back to the deleted object anytime.
Okay, thank you. If anyone else does have more questions, I saw a few more questions pop in, but we're running out of time here, so if you could just email those to us directly at the ca.erwin@programmers.com address, we'll get back to you as soon as we can on that. So once again, thanks everyone for taking the time out of your busy day, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Have a great day.